Good morning, Pray Firsters. It is Monday, the 17th of January, 2022, and it is freezing cold outside. FYI, we just had a little bit of precipitation over the weekend, and this morning it was a chore trying to get my windshield defrosted. I'm not gonna lie, there was probably like what felt like that much of snow and ice slush on there. It was crazy. How is everyone this morning? Good morning, Anita. Good morning, Neil. Good morning, Ed. Hello, Ed. Good to see you. Hello, Brenda. Are y'all staying warm? Hey, Brenda. Henderson. Hey, Lisa. So excited to see you guys on this cold Monday morning. Hey, Barbie. How are you feeling? Corinne. So glad to see familiar faces in here. Hello, Raymond Duffy. It is such a good day, right? We're going to have a good day. And we are journeying through the Bible. And we are going to pick up in Deuteronomy 9 this morning and get as far as we can in the 15-ish minutes that we try to do. If you are just joining us for the first time, if you don't mind just putting a number 1 down there in the bottom. And if you are with us on a regular basis, we thank you so much for being here, and we will set an example like we do every single day, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, by starting the hearts and the likes. Just rapid firing those real quick if you don't mind, so that those that are coming in and putting those number 1s in are made to feel welcome. Hey Brandy, hey Michelle, thank you so much. If you will, hashtag live if you're joining us at the 7 o'clock hour. And hashtag recorded if you're here at any other time. Hi, Dennis Pitts. All right, are you guys about ready to get started? Woo, it's a good day. It's gonna be a good day. Hey, Tracy. All right, I'm gonna get a quick drink. All right, shall we get ready? Hey, Chris. Christopher May. Christopher May. That's so crazy. It says Christopher. I can't get used to that. All right. I don't know that I'll ever get used to that, Nick. All right, here we go. Chapter 9. Let me hit the start button. Here we go. All right. Hi, Larry. Attention, Israel. This very day you are crossing the Jordan to enter the land and oust nations that are much bigger and stronger than you are. You're going to find huge cities with sky-high fortress walls and gigantic people, descendants of the Anakites. You've heard all about them. You've heard the saying, no one can stand up to an Anakite. Today, know this, God, your God, is crossing the river ahead of you. He's a consuming fire. He will destroy the nations. He will put them under your power. You will oust them and very quickly wipe them out, just as God promised you would. But when God pushes them out ahead of you, don't start thinking to yourselves, it's because of all the good I've done that God has brought me in here to dispossess these nations. Actually, it's because of all the evil these nations have done. No, it's nothing good that you've done, no record for decency that you've built up that got you here. It's because of the vile wickedness of these nations that God, your God, is dispossessing them before you, so that he can keep his promised word to your ancestors, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Know this and don't forget it. It's not because of any good that you've done that God is giving you this good land to own. Anything but. You're stubborn as mules. Keep in mind and don't ever forget how angry you made God, your God, in the wilderness. You've kicked and screamed against God from the day you left Egypt until you got to this place. Rebels all the way. You made God angry at Oreb. Made him so angry that he wanted to destroy you. When I climbed the mountain to receive the slabs of stone, the tablets of the covenant that God made with you, I stayed there on the mountain 40 days and nights, and I ate no food and I drank no water. Then God gave me the 2 slabs of stone, engraved with the finger of God. They contained word for word everything that God spoke to you on the mountain out of the fire on the day of the assembly. It was at the end of the 40 days and nights that God gave me the 2 slabs of stone, the tablets of the covenant. God said to me, "Get going, and quickly. Get down there, because your people, whom you led out of Egypt, have ruined everything. In almost no time at all, they have left the road that I laid out for them and gone off and made for them a cast god. God said, I look at this people, and all I see are hard-headed, hard-hearted rebels. Get out of my way now so I can destroy them. I'm going to wipe them off the face of the map. Then I'll start over with you to make a nation far better and bigger than they could ever be. I turned around and started down the mountain. By now the mountain was blazing with fire, carrying the 2 tablets of the covenant in my 2 arms. That's when I saw it. There you were, sinning against God, your God. You had made yourselves a cast, God in the shape of a calf. So soon you had left the road that God had commanded you to walk on. I held the 2 stone slabs high and threw them down, smashing them to bits as you watched. Then I flung myself down before God, just as I had at the beginning of the 40 days and nights, and I ate no food. I drank no water. I did this because of you, all your sins, sinning against God, doing what is evil in God's eyes and making him angry. I was terrified of God's furious anger, his blazing anger. I was sure he would destroy you. But once again, God listened to me and Aaron. How furious he was with Aaron, ready to destroy him. But I prayed also for Aaron at the same time. But that sin thing you made, that calf god, I took and burned it in the fire, pounded and ground it until it was crushed into a fine powder, then threw it into the stream that comes down the mountain. And then there was Camp Taberah, Massa, and Camp Gilbroth Hadavah. More occasions when you made God furious with you. The most recent was when God sent you out from Kadesh Barnea, ordering you, go, possess the land that I'm giving you. And what did you do? You rebelled against the clear orders of God, your God, refused to trust him, wouldn't obey him. You've been rebels against God from the first day. I knew you. When I was on my face stretched out before God those 40 days and nights after God said he would destroy you, I prayed to God for you. My master God, don't destroy your people, your inheritance, whom in your immense generosity you redeemed, using your enormous strength to get them out of Egypt. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Don't make too much of the stubbornness of this people, their evil and their sin, lest the Egyptians from whom you rescued them say, God couldn't do it. He got tired and wasn't able to take them to the land he promised them. He ended up hating them and dumped them in the wilderness to die. They are your people still, your inheritance, whom you powerfully and sovereignly rescued. Chapter 10. God responded. He said, shape 2 slabs of stone similar to the first ones. Climb the mountain and meet me. Also make yourself a wooden chest. I will engrave the stone slabs with the words that were on the first words, the ones you smashed. Then you will put them in the chest. I made a chest out of acacia wood, shaped 2 slabs of stone just like the first ones, and climbed the mountain with the 2 slabs in my arms. He engraved the stone slabs the same as he had the first ones, the 10 words that he addressed to you on the mountain out of the fire on the day of the assembly. Then God gave them to me. I turned around and came down the mountain. I put the stone slabs in the chest that I made, and they've been there ever since, just as God commanded me. The people of Israel went from the walls of the Jechanites to Mosera. Aaron died there and was buried. His son Eleazar succeeded him as priest. From there they went to Gudgoda, and then to Jotbathah, a land of streams of water. That's when God set apart the tribe of Levi to carry God's covenant chest, to be on duty in the presence of God, to serve him and to bless in his name, as they continue to do today. And that's why Levites don't have a piece of inherited land as their kinsmen do. God is their inheritance, as God, your God, promised them. I stayed there on the mountain 40 days and nights, just as I did the first time, and God listened to me, just as he did the first time. God decided not to destroy you. God told me, now get going. Lead your people as they resume the journey to take possession of the land that I promised their ancestors that I'd give to them. So, now Israel, what do you think God expects from you? Just this: live in his presence in holy reverence, follow the road he sets out for you, love him, serve God, your God, with everything you have in you, Obey the commandments and regulations of God that I'm commanding you today. Live a good life. Hey, Cindy. Look around you. Everything you see is God's. The heavens above and beyond, the earth, and everything on it. But it was your ancestors who God fell in love with. He picked their children. That's you. Out of all the other peoples. That's where we are right now. So cut away the thick calluses from your heart and stop being so willfully hard-headed. God, your God, is the God of all gods. He's the master of all masters. A God immense and powerful and awesome. He doesn't play favorites, takes no bribes, makes sure orphans and widows are treated fairly, takes loving care of foreigners by seeing that they get food and clothing. You must treat foreigners with the same loving care. Remember, you were once foreigners in Egypt. Reverently respect God, your God. Serve him. Hold tight to him. Back up your promises with the authority of his name. He's your praise. He's your God. He did all these tremendous, these staggering things that you saw with your own eyes. When your ancestors entered Egypt, they numbered a mere 70 souls. And now look at you. You look more like the stars in the night skies in number, and your God did it. And what did God promise Abraham about his descendants? That they would be like the stars in the sky. Isn't that cool? All right, chapter 11. So love God, your God. Guard well his rules and regulations. Obey his commandments for the rest of time. Today, it's very clear that it isn't your children who are front and center here. They weren't in on what God did, didn't see the acts, didn't experience the discipline, didn't marvel at his greatness, the way he displayed his power in the miracle signs and deeds that he let loose in Egypt, on Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and all his land. The way he took care of the Egyptian army, its horses and chariots, burying them in the waters of the Red Sea as they pursued you. God drowned them, and you're standing here today alive. Nor was it your children who saw how God took care of you in the wilderness up until the time you arrived here. What he did to Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, son of Reuben, how the earth opened its jaws and swallowed them with their families, their tents, and everything around them, right out of the middle of Israel. Yes, it was you, your eyes, that saw every great thing that God did. So it's you who are in charge of keeping the entire commandment that I command you today, so that you'll have the strength to invade and possess the land that you are crossing the river to make your own. Your obedience will give you a long life on the soil that God promised to give your ancestors and their children, a land flowing with milk and honey. The land you are entering to take up ownership isn't like Egypt, the land you left where you had to plant your own seed and water it yourselves as in a vegetable garden. But the land you are about to cross the river and take for your own is a land of mountains and valleys. It drinks water that rains from the sky. It's a land that God, your God, personally tends. He's the gardener. He alone keeps his eye on it all year long. From now on, if you listen obediently to the commandments that I am commanding you today, love God, your God, and serve him with everything you have within you, he'll take charge of sending the rain at the right time, both autumn and spring rains, so that you'll be able to harvest your grain, your grapes, your olives. He'll make sure there's plenty of grass for your animals. You'll have plenty to eat, but be vigilant, lest you be seduced away and end up serving and worshiping other gods, and God erupts in anger and shuts down heaven, so there's no rain and nothing grows in the fields. And in no time at all you're starved out, not a trace of you left on the good land that God is giving you. Place these words on your hearts. Get them deep inside you. Tie them on your hands and foreheads as a reminder. Teach them to your children. Talk about them wherever you are, sitting at home or walking in the street, talking about them from the time you get up in the morning until you fall into bed at night. Inscribe them on your doorposts and gates of your city so that you'll live a long time and your children with you on the soil that God promised to give your ancestors for as long as there is a sky over the earth. That's right. If you diligently keep all this commandment that I command you to obey, love God, your God, do what he tells you, stick close to him, God on his part will drive out all these nations that stand in your way. Yes, he'll drive out nations much bigger and stronger than you. Every square inch on which you place your foot will be yours. Your borders will stretch from the wilderness to the mountains of Lebanon, from the Euphrates River to the Mediterranean Sea. No one will be able to stand in your way. Everywhere you go, God sent fear and trembling will precede you, just as he promised. I've brought you today to the crossroads of blessing and curse. Whew. The blessing. If you listen obediently to the commandments of God, your God, which I command you today. The curse. If you don't pay attention to the commandments of God, your God, but leave the road that I command you today, following other gods of which you know nothing. Here's what comes next. When God, your God, brings you into the land you are going into to make your own, and you are to give out the blessing from Mount Gerizim and the curse from Mount Ebal. After you cross the Jordan River, follow the road to the west through Canaanite settlements in the valley near Gilgal and the oaks of Morah. You are crossing the Jordan River to invade and take the land that God, your God, is giving you. Be vigilant. Observe all the regulations and rules I am setting before you today. And 2 minutes. Let's read it. Let's go 12. Here we go. These are the rules and regulations that you must diligently observe for as long as you live in this country that God, the God of your fathers, has given you to possess. Ruthlessly demolish all the sacred shrines where the nations that you're driving out worship their gods. Wherever you find them, on hills and mountains or in groves of green trees, tear apart their altars, smash their phallic pillars, burn their sects and religion, Asherah shrines, break up their carved gods, obliterate the names of those god sites. Stay clear of those places. Don't let what went on there contaminate the worship of God, your God. Instead, find the site that God, your God, will choose and mark it with his name as a common center for all the tribes of Israel. Assemble there. Bring to that place your absolution offerings and sacrifices, your tithes and tribute offerings, your vow offerings, your free will offerings, and the firstborn of your herds and flocks. Feast there in the presence of God, your God. Celebrate everything that you and your families have accomplished under the blessing of God, your God. Don't continue doing things the way we're doing them at present, each of us doing as we wish. Until now, you haven't arrived at the goal, the resting place, the inheritance that God, your God, is giving you. But the minute you cross the Jordan River and settle into the land God, your God, is enabling you to inherit, he'll give you rest from all your surrounding enemies. You'll be able to settle down and live in safety. From then on, at the place that God, your God, chooses to mark with his name as the place where you can meet him, bring everything that I command you, your absolution offering and the best, and sacrifices, tithes and tribute offerings, and the best of your vow offerings that you vow to God. Celebrate there in the presence of God, your God, you and your sons and daughters, your servants and maids, including the Levite living in your neighborhood, because he has no place of his own in your inheritance. Be extra careful. Don't offer your absolution offerings just any place that strikes your fancy. Offer your absolution offerings only in the place that God chooses in one of your tribal regions. There and only there are you to bring all that I command you. It's permissible to slaughter your non-sacrificial animals like gazelle and deer in your towns and eat all you want from them with the blessing of God, your God. Both the ritually clean and unclean may eat, but you may not eat the blood. Pour the blood out on the ground like water, nor may you eat there the tithe of your grain, new wine, or olive oil, nor the firstborn of your herds and flocks, nor any of the vow offerings that you vow, nor your free will offerings and tribute offerings. All these you must eat in the presence of God, your God, in the place God, your God, chooses. You, your son and daughter, your servant and maid, and the Levite who lives in the neighborhood. You are to celebrate in the presence of God, your God, all the things you've been able to accomplish, and make sure that for as long as you live on your land, you never neglect the Levite. When God, your God, expands your territory as he promised he would do, and you say, I'm hungry for meat, because you happen to be craving meat at that time, go ahead and eat as much meat as you want. If you're too far away from the place that God, your God, has marked with his name, it's all right to slaughter animals from your herds and flocks that God has commanded you as I've commanded you, has given you as I've commanded you. In your own towns, you may eat as much of them as you want. Just as the non-sacrificial animals like the gazelle and deer are eaten, you may eat them. The ritually unclean and clean may eat them at the same table. Only this, absolutely no blood. Don't eat the blood. Blood is life. Don't eat the life with the meat. Don't eat it. Pour it out on the ground like water. Don't eat it. Then you'll have a good life, you and your children after you. By all means, do the right thing in God's eyes. And this, lift high your holy offerings and your vow offerings and bring them to the place God designates. Sacrifice your absolution offerings, the meat and blood on the altar of God, your God. Pour out the blood of the absolution offering on the altar of God, your God. Then you can go ahead and eat the meat. Be vigilant, listen obediently to these words that I command you, so that you'll have a good life, you and your children, for a long, long time doing what is good and right in the eyes of God your God. When God, your God, cuts off the nations whose land you are invading, shoves them out of your way so that you displace them and settle in their land, be careful that you don't get curious about them after they've been destroyed before you. Don't get fascinated with their gods, thinking, I wonder what it was like for them worshiping their gods. I'd like to try that myself. Don't do this to God, your God. They commit every imaginable abomination with their gods. God hates it all with a passion. Why then even set their children on fire as offerings to their gods? Diligently do everything I command you, the way I command you. Don't add to it, don't subtract from it. We'll end there, chapter 12. Chapter 13, I think, will be Pastor Dennis tomorrow. Wow. Oh, God's promises are yes and amen, right? I mean, Moses just keeps reminding about the promises. And I love that. I love that we can take it to the bank, as an idiom would say. We can take it to the bank, and know that God is not like man that he should lie, and that his promises, he will come through, and I love the part that it was saying, stay close to God and do what he's called us to do, and nothing will stand in that way. Whatever God has called us to do, nothing will stand in that way except us, right? God will make the path straight. He will wipe out every obstacle and everything that's trying to prevent it. And the closer we stay to God, the more we will realize that what he has for us is good. And it's just, there's so much in what we just read. I hope that you got it. That they had, even though in their rebelliousness, even though in their idol worship, even when the minute Moses goes away for 40 days and they're left unattended, they just lose their minds and forget God's faithfulness, and they become hard-hearted. And the closer you are to God, the tender your heart should be, and all of that. But anyway, in spite of all that, God still chose to honor his promises, and that's amazing. Wow, because they didn't deserve it. And I love that it was like, don't think that because your enemies are going to go away, that this has anything to do with how great you are, because it doesn't. And I was like, good reminder that whatever we have has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with our loving Father who loves us. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you're having a great day. Yeah, let's pray. Father, thank you so much for your goodness. Thank you that you are a promise keeper, that you can't do anything but keep your promises, Lord. Help us to not be hard-hearted. Help us to not be stubborn in our mind and in our hearts, God. Allow us to stay close to you, to follow your precept, your principles, God, the things that you've asked us to do. And now that we live under grace, that's simply loving you and loving others, Lord. Show us ways that we can love each other, Lord. Give us that Holy Spirit tug, that Holy Spirit voice inside of us that we can hear clearly to know. Lord, I just thank you, and I bless everyone that's hearing this right now, whether right now, live, or later, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. And all God's people said, amen, amen. Hashtag live, if you're here live. Hashtag shared, if you are sharing this out. We appreciate it. and hashtag recorded if you're here at any other time than the live hour. Oh my goodness. Y'all have a great day. There's a little bit of snow still left on the ground if you want to get out there. It crunches, FYI. Really crunches. Be careful, you guys. You know, it's very slippery. I didn't realize how slippery my stairs were this morning. So be very, very careful if you haven't had to get out. And if you're enjoying this day off because you're in school or it's a federal holiday or whatever, and that applies to you, go look it up. Go read up on Martin Luther King and see, you know, be inspired. Be inspired by his words. He was a very amazing orator, and man, yeah. So let's be thinking about him too. Love you guys.